So the name of this story is about their boss opening a credit card in their name and doing the same thing with two other co-workers, which sounds obviously illegal and wrong. But the story is one with a lot of updates, and considering this compilation has a trigger warning for, murder. Take that into account, how insane this is probably gonna get. It originates about 5 months ago. As if being underpaid at my job isn't enough, I just found out my boss opened up a credit card in my name. I work at a mom and pop type business in graphic design, and my boss is the same guy who hired me. 2 days ago, I got a call from Capital One asking about unusual charges on my credit card. The rep went over a couple of charges, and I had literally no idea what she was talking about. I told them it looked like those charges weren't on my app, and the rep said she tried calling a different phone number, but it was disconnected. She confirmed I had 2 credit cards through them, but I only have 1. The rep told me my other account, my actual account, had no strange charges, but a different one, opened only in December, was nearing its credit limit, and there were 2 large charges at different Walmart stores. I asked for the address on the accounts, and one was mine. The other, which I had no idea about, was the home address for my boss. They cancelled the card and said I might get contacted by their fraud department. So we're obviously not dealing with the most, professional of criminals? Seriously, you're trying to create a fake credit card, a fraudulent one, of your co-workers or your employees, and you have the brainstem to think, oh yeah, let's give it my personal address. It's not like these people who are likely not earning a really good income are gonna at all be suspicious of the fact that their financial security might be in trouble. No, they wouldn't be, doubly cautious about that kind of thing. They just let it slide, yeah, because they're probably dumb and stupid to this boss's eyes. Yesterday, I told my team about it, and 2 of them immediately chimed up that they had their identity stolen last month with credit cards opened in their name. The boss, who works remotely, told about a dozen of us at the end of November we needed to fill out updated W-9s because the company was moving to a new system and sent them to him. One of them ran home on lunch and grabbed the letter they were sent from the credit card company. The phone number is 1 number off of 4 boss's cell phone numbers, and the address is to a UPS store in the town where he lives. I've put up a lot working here, but this is absolutely the last straw. The work environment is middling at best, but the pay is horrible. I'm calling in sick today and starting to look for something that actually works for me and pays me at least what I'm worth. What else should I be doing other than calling the cops? Now, the most upvoted comment offering some basic, common sense advice: freezing your credit, go to the police, getting copies of things, yada yada yada, get a lawyer up my man. But let's observe a handful of notable comments. Someone asking if the boss is not the owner, is he related to the owner at all? And OP confirms this, that yes, the boss is actually not the owner. There are 2 managers who are both off-site, and the owner who is on-site. The manager who requested the W-9 was hired last summer. As far as I know, he has no connection to the owner at all, and they are definitely not related. So some outside guy, in a sense, has just suddenly stumbled into the workplace, all a part of the top dogs, and seemingly made up a false situation to try and get some personal details of their employees. Really makes you comfortable and trusting of people in upper management now, doesn't it? Unless you never had that trust already. Now, a month later, they did make another post, but they were told by a lawyer friend to remove it, sadly, so that's a shame. From what the OP said in the comments, though, it seems to be a case of just the actions they've taken, which were all that we've already looked over. Speaking to a lawyer, getting police involved, apparently a detective's going to get in contact with him about trying to get some personal information of the business itself, but of course, that's a few loopholes in its own right. Not to mention hula hoops to jump through. So much holes, so many holes. Thankfully, someone screenshotted that comment though, and here's what it was. Essentially, yes. Get a police report, start a credit monitoring service like this one and check your credit, freeze your credit as well, essentially doing all you can to ensure that the credit card companies don't think you're just trying to screw them over, because they'll come back at you extra hard, just like as hard as I suddenly needed to throw up. What? But huzzah, there is an update of good news so far. Update: my company put the manager on unpaid leave a couple of days after they were contacted by a detective about the open cards. 4 of us ended up filing police reports on the same day. A couple days later, I got an alert from the credit monitoring company saying someone tried opening a Discover card in my name. They put a stop to that. One of my coworkers got a call back from the detective on Tuesday and told him a judge signed off on a warrant for identity theft. I forgot the exact term for the criminal complaint last week. Apparently, the detective was able to get video footage from a store of our boss using a credit card registered in the coworker's name. Our boss also drove a car registered to him to and from the store, all visible on surveillance. The detective said the sheriff's department or state attorney's department made sure to include the boss's state in the extradition limits for the warrant. My coworker said the reason the detective called is because the detective was called by another detective in the city where our boss lives. Cops in that city have tried pulling him over 3 times in the last month, with the last time being on Monday. All 3 times, he just doesn't stop. The place has a zero pursuit policy, so they have to let him go, and they think he might be armed. The house where he is supposed to live is emptied out as well. The detective for my city told my coworker he's still waiting on other surveillance footage in regards to the rest of the complaints, including mine, and they'll likely be added on as additional counts, but they want to get him into custody first. From what it sounds like, he'd have to go through the system on his felony eluding charge first. Then, he could be extradited here to see a judge about the identity theft. So let's remember, this was about 4 months ago, the events we've just read about. We're now moving a bit ahead of time to only 2 days ago, where apparently they completely forgot about this whole story until just now. But yes, again, in regards to the trigger warning of things, this is talking about murder. And considering our last story, learning about them possibly being armed and dangerous, I am worried how this is going to go. Because no doubt, filling out those forms and having their credit card information to create these credit cards, they would know the personal details and addresses of those employees they've scammed. Now the police are after them. Who do you think this scammer is going to blame for all this heat on them? Anyway, we'll read on. Final update. I had mostly forgotten about this post until a few days ago. Wouldn't say it has a happy ending. The silver lining is that it only took about 3 weeks and the card that wasn't mine was out of my name. My credit score went up like 90 points. I also started a new job with a decent pay bump and far more time off. A couple of months ago, my old boss, who was fired, ended up getting killed in a car accident. About a day later, it came out that he had most likely murdered an elderly woman and stole her car. Her daughter went to her house when she didn't answer the phone and found her mother shot and her car and purse missing. His car was parked on the street a block away. Apparently, he fled police stops another 3 or 4 times before crashing into a metal electric pole, no seatbelt. He was fleeing from the police again in the stolen car. They found meth and a gun inside. I got a call from a lawyer because I was one of the ones who reported the credit card fraud. We talked for maybe 10 minutes about what happened to me, and he filled me in a bit about what happened since. There are now 2 lawsuits going through the works, supposedly. One is from the family of the woman he probably murdered. They are saying, basically, the police failed to apprehend him before she got killed. That lists all the police departments and cities involved. The other is from his family going after the sheriff's department and county, which chased him and led to the crash. I doubt I have to testify, as the lawyer was mainly concerned about the specific events leading to me knowing it was my old boss who stole my identity. It sounds to me like everyone is going for settlement money. Just figured I'd let everyone know what happened. TLDR, he won't be stealing anyone else's identity anymore. My heart can only go out to that family, though, with the elderly woman being tragically murdered and all this. I understand why they'd want to sue. I get the law about the whole no pursuit thing because, yes, it can just create more accidents on the road and more chaos and such. But then also, he's a criminal. I mean, was there possible evidence he was going to resort to murder? Probably not. Maybe that's why they weren't jumping the gun too much. But either way, someone died when they could have not. They could still be here. So I kind of understand and feel they do have a right to seek some compensation about this. Have any political affiliation you want whatsoever about police in general, but you can't deny that they are in a constant lose-lose situation when it comes to tackling criminals. Though I do find it interesting that his own family is going after the sheriff's department and stuff because they were harassing him too much, and then there's this other family accusing the police department of not harassing him enough. Sheriff here is being like a chew toy and everyone's a dog. They all just want a piece of him. But overall, it's nice to see that the criminal was eventually caught, so to speak. Sad to see that sort of experience come from someone who's your employer, who you're meant to have some sense of trust with, but his life, I suppose. The story of the boy who was the last standing delivery driver at a busy pizza shop finally quitting. His boss loses everything, including his mind. It all originates about 10 months ago. I've spent the last 3 years delivering pizza for one of the mega chain companies, and I'm finally freaking done. Minimum wage, of course, and a flat rate delivery fee paid to the driver of $1.50. They charge you $4 for delivery, we get $1.50 of it. Most days, there is nothing but a single driver and a manager trying to run a place doing 30 plus pizzas per hour, from 11 a.m. to midnight. Closing and cleanup takes until a minimum of 2 a.m., and I've had days where I came home past 4 a.m. Customers screaming, ranting, cancelling orders all day long. Orders flooding in non-stop all day and night. It's like living in a constant panic attack. Always stressed, always a dozen things that still need doing, and a dozen other things that nobody did. At the beginning of COVID, this store had about 16 drivers on staff. Barely adequately covered with those, but doable. Gradually lost about 2 per month to where we are now. Gigantic delivery area that they refuse to contract at all, that can't be covered by anything less than 6 drivers. Double that when busy, which we are, non-stop. We've had 2 drivers all summer, which is totally insane considering we're open 7 days, 13 hours per day, until a month ago. Now, they have none. I've been working an average of 70 hours per week, some weeks over 90, averaging over 700 miles per week on my car. Tips have gone to hell. Easily half of people don't even tip at all anymore. In the beginning of COVID, a 70-hour week was easily over $1,000 in my pocket. Since the beginning of this year, it's gradually dropped to maybe 500 max. And I'm just totally exhausted and stressed the frick out non-stop. They won't raise the wage. Franchise owner swears people are just lazy and frequently intimates that all his current employees are just lazy whiners. So, last night, 20 deliveries on the board and I'm the only driver. Make line is backed up at least 45 minutes. Walk-in customers mostly walking out when they come in to order and see what's going on. He's working the counter for his once per month shift, where he mostly just screams and gets in the way, lying to customers, telling them it'll be 15 minutes for their order when we're at a minimum of an hour. And he decides I'm not moving fast enough, in front of a dozen customers, all standing in the front, ticked off, waiting for their extremely late food. Well, mate, what do you expect? It's Manager 101. Blame someone else when you're not doing a good enough job. If there are issues in the workplace, it's the lowest earning person's problem. Not you as the manager. No, wait, what? You think manager means you manage things? Owner.
You need to goddamn run those deliveries. People are hungry.
Under his breath.
Lazy frick.
Had it. Done. No more. Enough. Dropped all the food I was carrying in the middle of the floor. Went out back. Cashed myself out, took my lock off my locker, emptied my stuff, went out front, brought in the stupid company car topper and tossed it into the pile of food on the floor, and just left. Yeah, absolute power move from the OP here. Damn, kid. No doubt this person is like not even 18 yet. Oh man, I would not even have half the guts they have. Most I would have done is just cried in the corner for like 5 minutes, then gotten back onto it. That's my tactic. No idea what he was screaming while it happened. Don't care. So finally and totally done with his and every other bosses out there who act like this and runs a business like this. It's not a business when they think this is how to run things. It's some kind of ego-stroking, half-assed hobby, and I ain't here for it anymore. On the plus side, I slept 12 hours last night for the first time in forever, and feel amazing as hell today. It's like a huge lump of stress, rage, hatred, and panic has just evaporated inside. Now moving over to the stream of updates, because of course there'd be updates on this. No way that boss is letting him walk out alive. And if there's one thing to notice about this boss, is his complete, almost bipolarism. Because let's just recap what he did. He chucked a bunch of your pizzas on the floor, went out back, cleared all his things out, grabbed the car topper, the thing he uses to show that, he's working, and threw it on the pile of pizzas in your workspace. And the boss will then text you on that coming weekend and say this? The owner just texted wanting to know if I was coming in tonight, Friday night.
Dude, it's Friday night and you're late already. You coming? I've got no drivers here and already over 20 deliveries sitting here. What the frick?
Do I just ignore or be a douche? I'm trying to decide. I definitely am never going back. Now, I'll wait and post the texts if they actually get good, but so far they're almost all just repeats of, you coming in or not? Until the last one below. It's not as good as one would hope for, until, that is, the latest text, up to 8 now.
I'm gonna frickin' sue you for ruining my business and job abandonment.
Don't know how that works, but I'm just high enough now to have responded, hope your lawyer is cheap, because I worked for you, cheap butthead. So you know I'm frickin' broke. Free advice? Don't sue poor people. We ain't got Schmidt. Now, apparently, I'm fired. Woe is me. So I think it's fair to say that this wasn't so much a firing as much as a really very dramatic quitting. But old mate decided to check back in the office after the pretty much end of the weekend just to see how this guy's doing all on his own, and yeah, it's great. It's great. Sunday update. So I'm fired, even though I quit. I don't care, but definitely filing for UI since he was dumb enough to fire me via text after walking out. I can't wait for his freak out when they send through the paperwork for that. However, so, I drove by this morning thinking I'll be decent and return my uniform, shirts and whatnot, trying to act like an adult or whatever. And he is closed today! Sign on the door, handwritten, that simply says,
Closed today due to lack of staff.
texted around to my former coworkers, and apparently his rage fits all night Friday and all day and night Saturday cost him 2 of his insiders and shift runners. There were only 4 left as it was. And the other daytime driver told him to go frick himself and walked out as well midday Saturday. Dude is self-destructing, I guess, and doesn't seem to care if he torpedoes his business. Now he has absolutely no drivers and only his store GM and an insider, a 17-year-old who only works 10 hours a week after school, left. Oh well, left my uniform shirts in the dumpster around the corner. Mate, that's bold. Going up to his house like that? Jeez.
What if he came out and gave you rabies?
Well, no, my mistake. It's not him actually going to the boss's house. No. With the kind of illegal firing and abuse to all the co-workers, boss decides the best way to resolve the situation, maybe, instead of going to therapy or just finding a new way to sort out his business, he's gonna come to OP's house himself. Yes, you thought you could leave this work in the trash, but no, the trash has come to you. So, as a post below suggested, I've actually just texted a few other co-workers who have also recently quit. So far, 2 others have responded saying this guy showed up at their house. One just told him to frick off, slammed the door in his face, and ignored him. And the other wasn't home, but his mother answered, and the boss tried giving her Schmidt over her kid quitting. Haven't yet heard back from anybody else, but yeah, looks like I'll be herding a few of us together to an attorney. They all down for it, so yeah. But this is messed up. Dude can't be bothered to hire anybody for months, works his staff to death, demeans them until they walk out, and then goes to their house to be even more of an a-hole. Yeah, this is getting fun now for a petty prick with too much time on his hands, a keen sense of frick with me and find out, and a definite plan to call more than a few attorneys in the AM. This stuff just got good. Yes, this man is certainly the Boss of the Year award if you replace the word boss with Darwinism. But before we go on to the update that was a few days later, let's once again do a quick recap here of the story. So, shrinking down from 15 to 16 delivery drivers, down to just about 2 to 3 in a single summer, having one storm out and just throwing your food all over the place, causing yourself to then abuse and harass your other remaining 4 staff to then also want to quit, playing the classic card of, just people are just too lazy to work. No, it's not because my workplace practices are definitely unhealthy for anyone with some sense of sanity. No, we've got to resolve this by how, yes, let's harass them at home. Right, that's just like my father did to me. I assume. Maybe he doesn't have a father. Maybe that's why he's so uncontrollably toxic in his masculinity. So, knock on my door today, and I answer it to my former boss. Not happy about that, as I seriously dislike people just showing up at my house uninvited. Okay, what the frick? So, ex-boss says,
So, now that you've had some time, are you ready to grow up and be a man and come back to work? Friday tomorrow, and I need my people!
Me? The frick did you just say? Grow up and be a man? I quit. We're done. Go away. I don't have anything to say to you. I start to go inside. but he launches into an unbelievable rant about being closed half this week and that it's all my fault. It seems the rest of the crew followed me out, and all he has left is his general manager. He's losing money, and how is he supposed to staff a store open 100 hours a week with just him and his GM? And it's my fault for quitting. He's spending so much in DoorDash fees sending out deliveries that he is going to go broke any minute now.
Oh no, the consequences of your actions.
Just slack your disbelief. I can't believe this Nimrod won't leave me alone. He's let his staff dwindle from nearly 30 employees pre-COVID down to the last half dozen or so, and we all bailed finally as well, and this is my fault? I don't give a frick. I'm not interested. I don't care. I don't know how else to tell you. Why are you here? I'm not going to work for you, ever, for any reason. Go away.
Oh, you're just a child and a freaking coward. Get back to work. I need you there.
Go frick yourself and get off my property. I slam the door, head inside. He's on my front porch, banging on the door like a goddamn maniac. My dogs are losing their schmidt. He's screaming and ranting at the top of his lungs, threatening to sue me for job abandonment, for ruining him and bankrupting him, how it's my fault his kids are gonna starve and be homeless. My neighbors are starting to hear him. It's a beautiful day out, and everybody has their windows open, so it's kinda hard not to hear him. Finally, I've had enough listening to this. The poor nice old guy across the street is standing on his lawn with his next door neighbor, and they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on over here. He starts to leave at least, finally. Now, because I'm a petty child, as he walks away ranting, I pop the door open real quick and stick my head out and yell,
Your pizza sucks and you suck if you think one driver can save your terrible business. Hope you go bankrupt so I can laugh at you panhandling on the street corner in a month, you cheap a-hole.
That maybe wasn't the best idea. I slammed the door shut real quick. He ran back up, pounded on the door, and started screaming some more. Probably another good 20 minutes of his noise and bullshit. My neighbor actually went back inside and called me. I love Bill. He's a great guy. I told him what's happening, and he just laughed his butt off, asked if he should maybe call the police over the domestic disturbance going on at my house. I won't say I told him to do it, but I certainly didn't tell him not to. So, my former boss is standing on my front lawn right now. Blue lights from 3 police cruisers are flashing among the houses. The sun sets on a lovely New England day. I'm sure he won't get arrested, although I'd love to see it. But my, oh my, he certainly seems all agitated. The poor cops look bored, frankly. They only talked to me for a few minutes, and I told them he's just an ex-boss that won't accept that I frickin' quit. They didn't seem all that amused. Oh well, not my problem. Call one of my former coworkers, one of the others who has quit in the weeks since I've been gone, and it seems that ex-boss was just at his house and yelling at him also. Fricking hell. What a douche. So I'm just sitting on my deck around the side of the house, watching my ex-boss as he sheepishly tries to explain harassing an ex-employee at his home to the police, peaceful, stress-free, and well-rested after quitting his terrible job. Maybe I should wave at him.
No!
Anyway, that'll be the end of today's stories. As always, thank you so much for watching. Absolute blast having you here. Looking at this new apartment space I'm in. Down in Sydney now. Woo woo. I'll still be back and forth between here and good old Brisbane. But we'll try and keep the videos coming consistently. Unlike those last 2 months. We don't speak of those months. Anyway, be good, drink water, and remember, if God didn't want you to suffer, he wouldn't have made it possible. That's horrible. Don't follow that advice. Be good. Bye-bye.